Yeah, so I went out and got one anyway. And we have two camera angles apparently. Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're gonna be doing an unboxing and a first impressions of this thing, the iPhone 14 Pro. And I know the other day I literally made a video trashing this thing, but I actually wanna give this thing a fair shot. Firstly, I actually have been looking at picking up an iPhone just so that I could make some short-based content. The thing is, Samsung phones, I use the Fold 4, they're not really that well optimized when it comes to social media applications. So this thing hopefully is gonna fix that problem for me so I can start making content for other platforms and not just be strictly locked into YouTube. And I'm really excited to see what's changed. I know, number one, right there, the dynamic island. Oh my God. Here's the thing. I'm gonna be doing some videos and some reviews about this thing. And to be honest with you, this is probably as real as it's gonna get because as you know, I haven't used an iPhone in quite some time. I have been using the S22 Ultra and the Fold 4, and I like Apple, but lately I just feel like they've become super boring and I don't know. I just wanna give this thing a fresh start, see how it is as like a secondary phone or just, you know, a full-time device. And let's go ahead and just crack it open and stop wasting some time. You don't need to use the knife apparently anymore, but I'm gonna do it anyway because it's more fun. Just covering up all the information on the box. Okay, I think I actually needed to use the pull tabs. But wow, that camera module is way bigger than I remember this thing being. That is huge now. You can't really, you can't really get an idea for this thing on video, but this is massive. That's actually insane. I don't know if I have anything like to put it up against to show the size, but these are huge. Just this almost like in person, this actually sort of looks goofy. Like this is almost half the device, but that's crazy. I mean, if they perform the way they look, then I'm sure they'll be good, but I don't know. Inside the box, of course, you get the Lightning connector and Type-C. Again, this phone still does not support Type-C, so it uses the Lightning connector, which is something that they kind of glossed over in the event, but that's okay. Next year, hopefully. And then this unit right here does actually have the eSIM, or sorry, this does actually have the SIM port. It's not like the US model that has eSIM only. And that's because I'm in Canada, and pretty much everywhere else in the world, you're gonna get a SIM card slot. In the US, they had to make it a little bit more difficult for you guys to activate your phones. This is actually launch day, and I have been looking at Twitter. There's been a lot of people having a lot of issues when it comes to actually getting this thing set up and activated because of the eSIM. A lot of people are spending a lot of time with carriers, and it seems like such a huge hassle, and I'm really thankful that I don't have to deal with that. Inside of here, you get just the SIM ejector tool and an Apple sticker, so you can put on something else and tell people that you bought an Apple product so they can rob you. I will need this eventually, but let's go ahead and get this peeled off. Nice. And turned on. Actually, what's interesting is if you take a look, you can actually see that it's just the hole punch and the pill cutout. It's actually not just one unified thing. It's cut off in software. But that's actually really funny that just straight out the box, oh, you can actually see that a lot better even when it's on. So yeah, that's just a software cutout that they've made so that like they can connect the two for that dynamic island. I honestly really hate that it's called the dynamic island. I'm gonna have to stop saying that because it's kind of goofy. I gotta do the Face ID, position in frame. Okay. One thing that I am noticing though is I'm right in front of two really big lights and this display is like super bright. Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I don't know how well this is gonna show up in the video, but the display is really bright. I don't have a way to change it or anything because I'm still running through the setup, but it is really bright. Already hopping into dark mode over here because it recognized the settings from my old iPhone, which was the 13 Pro. I actually have never owned the silver version of an iPhone. I had like the silver 12 Pro, 12 Pro Max, but like, I don't remember it being this white and this bright. Like this actually looks pretty cool, which is why I went with silver. First of all, the deep purple was sold out. I also think in person, the deep purple kind of just looks off. So I decided not to get it. The gold was okay, but the gold was also sold out, and the space black is what I wanted initially, but then I realized that every single phone that I've had within like the last, little bit has all been black. So I wanted to spice it up a little bit and go for something that was a little bit different, which is what I did with this, getting the silver. Set up cellular, set up later in settings, skip eSIM. This display is really bright. Right off the jump, I just turned it all the way up, and yeah, like I can tell that this is really bright. I would compare it with my Fold right now if my Fold wasn't recording this angle. But the display just right off the bat is insane. It looks pretty sharp. I don't know if the resolution is the same as the other one. I'll have all of that information when I do my actual review of the phone. But yeah, like right off the jump, it's really sharp and it's really bright. So I want to take a look at some things that the dynamic island does. So if I open up, like, I have to sign into all of the applications to be able to do this. Actually, no, let's set a timer. If I set a timer for, let's do 0 minutes and 10 seconds. If I start that and swipe up, okay, that's cool. So the timer goes right up to the top, and then with 5 seconds left, I wonder what happens. Okay, it just sends you a regular notification. Okay, I thought it was gonna be like integrated somehow into that, but still, let's take a look at something else. What's another way I can demo it? But say I set it for 15 seconds. It's kind of cool, like when you swipe up and you swipe it away, it kind of gets like tucked into the top there, and then your timer, the active status just starts to show. So like, I wonder, yeah, you can see that it's just all display. You can tell off angle. When you're looking at it, you can't really tell. Oh, that's new, the always on display. So I have to be real, the always on display is a feature that I never use on any phone, whether it be Samsung, whatever. I can't really see myself using the always on display on an iPhone. First impressions though, like this does look really cool, but at the same time, I'm under really bright light right now, and I can tell that this is a really bright always on display. So like, if I kind of just have the phone tucked over here, yeah, like I don't really know if I like that. And from what I've heard, there's no way to turn it down. So you can turn off the always on display, but you can't turn it down. And that's really bright. I'm not sure a lot of people are gonna like that. And I'm very curious to see how this impacts the battery drain and stuff like that, because it doesn't really look like they're doing anything beside turning the brightness down. And maybe, you know what? Okay, so when your brightness is lower, the always on display is dimmer, which is interesting. So if I turn the brightness up and then turn the always on display on, you can see that it gets instantly brighter. That's kind of cool because I guess it adjusts depending on, how the room is well lit, and obviously being under these bright lights, it is a pretty bright always on display now, but I just think it's weird. Like, it would be nice to have the option to change the brightness indefinitely on it so you can lock it, because I can't really see myself needing to have all of this information available to me, and I'm kind of worried long term about what something like screen burn-in and things like that would be like. Aside from that, like, I mean, it looks really nice. Actually, that's another thing that I can demo is if I do Face ID, it unlocks from the top. So you don't have the pop-up anymore, it's kind of just out of the way. And then I heard that when you open apps and stuff like that, if you swipe them, depending on how you swipe them away, I guess it's gotta be an app like Clock. Let's see. Clock, that's 22 seconds. Okay, yeah, so if you see this, when I swipe the app up, it kind of just like does that animation depending on what direction I put it into, which is kind of cool. But other than that, from a first impression standpoint, this phone feels extremely identical to the 13 Pro Max that I had before, or 13 Pro, I always get it confused. This feels really identical to the last iPhone that I had. It feels as if, I don't know, it feels a little bit lighter. I'm not sure if it actually is or if that's just because I'm used to the Fold 4 now. But one thing that I can see is the edges of the display actually look a little bit more rounded. I'm not sure how true that is, and the bezels appear to be a little bit thinner, but they're still pretty thick side bezels. Not like crazy thick or anything. It's not gonna be like a game breaker, but they are there. And this definitely, it looks like it cuts into the content a little bit more. Let me go ahead and download like the YouTube app. So because this notch, or this dynamic island, is a little bit lower than the notch before, I'm really curious to see how it looks in like some sort of content. So when you're watching 16:9, it's completely not there. And then when you expand it, obviously it cuts deep into it. I want to see something 21:9, like, okay. So if you see, when you're watching 21:9 content, this is actually in the way. And this wasn't in the way before, which is kind of like, it's just weird, you know, because now you went from having like a really large kind of unobstructed display to just having a cutout when you're watching content. And I don't really get it. I don't know why they had to lower it. I don't know why they had to do what they did. The dynamic island, if they wanted these animations, I feel like could have been done with the notch, but I don't know. So far though, like in terms of build quality and stuff, it's an Apple product. Like the thing is built like a tank, and I'm definitely going to be trying this out over the next, week or two, and then I'm going to give you guys my final thoughts on what I think of this, and then maybe have like a long-term review, do some comparisons between the Fold 4 and this phone, and just see how it goes from there. So if you enjoyed this video, a like and a sub would be much appreciated, because I'm still sweating from how far out of the way I had to go to get this thing. So thank you all for watching. I hope you had a good one, and peace out.